what we want to talk is about the opportunities and risk of global sourcing from the COVID pandemic. And we will touch two big regions. The one region will be CE, including also Turkey, and then Asia, including mainly China, India, and Taiwan. So the focus will be on the impact of pandemic to 2021 and 2022, and also on the local and international sourcing. And we will talk about it. How is it compared between these two regions? Where are the advantages, disadvantages, and what is changing during the last 12 months? We have here three panel attendees. The one is Anna Zaloga, a sourcing expert for CE, Peter Hlad, sourcing expert for Asia and Pacific region, and myself, I will do more the moderation and bring, if necessary, some experience from sourcing in CE. I would like to give a chance to Anna and Peter to introduce themselves. Maybe we could start with Peter, because probably Anna is still fighting with the video. Peter, could you switch on, or I can do that?
Yes, done.
You are now online. So could you introduce yourself, please?
Okay, do you hear me well?
Yeah, we can hear you very well.
Super. So my name is Peter Hlad. I am a purchasing and sourcing expert with 20 years of professional experience in procurement, purchasing, and sourcing. In the past, I served companies like Ford Motor Company, General Electric, Electrolux, and ASSA ABLOY. Actually, I am a freelancer oriented to interim management in the procurement, and I support local companies in sourcing activities in Asia, mainly China and India. My background is the metallurgical. It means metal parts is my domination, or is my top commodity. But during the last year, I was involved in plastics, rubber parts, electronics, and other commodities. So at this moment, I can cover all variable commodities in procurement portfolio. So it's briefly about me.
Thank you very much, Peter. Anna, could you introduce yourself?
Hello, everybody. I'm sorry for not being able to connect you by video. I'm trying to make a setup, but it's not working. So I'm sorry for that you don't see me. My name is Anna. I'm located in Poland. I'm Polish. My background, I'm lawyer and business oriented. I mean, my background is law and business. Since more than 20 years, I'm working in sourcing, procurement, prior for big international companies, mainly automotive, but also in other industries. Talking about the commodities, if I will look for my colleague, I would say that I'm specialized in plastics, metals. Yes. Since few years, I'm working for the advertisement industry, so to say, producing POS, point of sales stuff. So I'm very much related to the retail and the trends and what's going on the market. But however, still I'm also related to the big industry, providing some support. I'm specializing in a CE region, and particularly I'm specialist from the production transfers. from different locations into the CEE region for some reasons. So that's about me.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Peter Prokop. I'm owner of Gift Management Consulting, and just very briefly, we focus on global sourcing, logistic, production, and new entering new markets on the consulting side, and on the interim side, we are mostly for automotive and other industries. They're also in the areas of quality production, finance, and HR. And so we did quite a lot of projects in the area of global sourcing. And I'm also working for BME in Germany, like a speaker. So twice in a year, maybe 3 times in a year, like a speaker there. Okay, let's start with the subject. So first, I would like to do a small introduction. What we have, and just to describe a little bit the situation, what we have. So we have now a COVID pandemic for a year. It always seems like it's getting better. We had hopes. For example, in summer. Then we saw that some countries had almost eradicated the virus and eliminated. And then we had a hope for vaccine. And now we are again with the newly discovered mutations, and the picture is clouded again. So this is the situation. So we cannot say in next month it's end and everything is going like before. So we have to live with this situation, and I would like to see what are actually, how does it affect our supply chain? How has the perception of risk shifted, and what opportunities and risks do we have? So we would like to discuss it in this webinar. So, and I would like to put the first question maybe to Anna.
Yes.
Anna, what is your general observation about the changes in global sourcing for the last 2 years? And if you see the period of 2 years comparing to the last year, because 2 years ago we had, for example, it was sure we had some development there, and we had some changes, and then in March was the world completely different. Could you describe it a little bit, the changes before and then what's really changed in the last 12 months from your experience, for your projects maybe?
So my observation is that since last 20, the globalization of the sourcing, global sourcing concept started approximately more than 20 years ago in US. They moved to Europe and then became to be fashionably. I remember I joined, my first work was Volvo. I was working for Volvo. I joined Volvo after the study in 1998. And that time I was that was first people who became a title of global sourcing. The definition of sourcing, procurement, global procurement started. What does it mean that time and how that was developed? Year by year, there was a kind of tendency and pressure and trends to search for cost reduction, cost efficiency, globalization, generally cost down, and trying to localize, to diversify the localization of the productions, trying to get a cost more and more optimized. And we just we just became a a piece of the chain, we completely started to treat a world like a global production facility. We even started to think, why if not to shift the production to the moon? Because it's easier, it's not so far away. It became cheaper and cheaper sooner or later. Why not to go to the moon? And of course, the digitalization and international connections, etc., etc. That was the continuous trend and continuous complexity, continuous increase of speed, etc., etc., towards lower cost. Yeah. And what has been happen in 2020? Suddenly, we see the crisis. Or we even don't see, but we feel the crisis will come, and suddenly this global concept doesn't work. Why? Because, for example, day by day, the China is switched off. Or, for example, we used to import some components from Italy, and part of Italy is completely blocked. But we cannot find day by day another supplier. Everybody who works in automotive knows that to introduce a new supplier to validate a part, it takes a time, while we were forced day by day to find a solution. So what we are doing at the moment, we are thinking how the world will looks like soon, because for sure there is a huge change in the front of us.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Peter, what is your thoughts about that? What was before and what changed in the last? Where is the difference?
Okay, the difference is that some customers stopped or interrupted thinking to go to the Asia because it is relatively far away from the Europe, and they afraid about the potential issues joined with transportation. So some of them, they prefer to have the sources locally, much more closer to production or distribution facilities. It is true. On the second side, we must think about the fact that the globalization is a long-term process, and I would say that COVID pandemic is like the short break for this trend. It means, yes, actually we are faced to specific risk, which is COVID, but we should think about the way how to solve this risk and in future to reduce the risk as much as possible. Mm-hmm. We discuss as one solution to applicate the dual sourcing. It means to split our demand and to address some quantity to Asia, India, China, etc., and to keep such a portion of our demand, our consumption in Europe, for example. It means act partially locally and partially globally. It means thanks to this combination, we can harvest benefit of low cost in Asia. And on second side, we have the guarantee of parts, component shipment from the local source if needed.
Okay, Peter. Peter, could you maybe point maybe the 3, 4, 5 biggest risk what you have today regarding Asia? What are the risks now?
Okay.
During the pandemic, because the pandemic will not end next month or over next month, we have to be prepared to live with pandemic a longer time. I don't know how long, but I don't think it will be in few weeks away.
The first risk is definitely the logistic. Actually, we see the increasing of logistic cost. The reason is that some containers capacity is frozen in various ports and facilities. And second is limited capacity of the ships, because some of them are blocked in ports due not available staff. Because staff is guaranteed due COVID. So logistic is one big risk. Second risk, it is the scheduling. In the past, we can schedule relatively precisely what is our demand, what will be our supply. We can monitor via internet where the ship and our good is located exactly. Actually, there is unclear or unpredictable input, which can be the blocks of specific regions. The third, it is human sources. Today, for example, I could read in local newspapers that our Czech government blocked some counties in Czech Republic, and due to this, from day to day, they are reduced in labor force 50%. Practically from day to day, they have 50% less workers, with impact to production, outputs, etc. So it is the third risk. And the fourth risk is the cost, because actually the governments started some campaigns to stimulate the economy. It means they put some finances into economy, and question is whether it will not have impact to growth of inflation and following pressures to increasing of the salaries, wages, increasing of production cost, and increasing prices as well. So it is what I see at this moment. Question is the future, because there are some information that some companies are close to the bankrupt. So we can expect in a short time the reducing of available capacity at the market. And we can expect that the companies will be taken over by bigger, stronger ones. So we can expect that the competition at the market will go down a little bit.
Okay.
It means instead 5 potential sources after crisis, they could be only 4 or 3. It means increasing of selling power instead, in case increasing of purchasing power.
Thank you very much, Anna.
Welcome.
What do you? I mean, the risks were quite good described. Do you have any more risk? What you see, and what do you think? How can we limit these risks? Global South. Do you have some ideas?
I answering the question about the risk and opportunities. I see the situation what we have at the moment like more to sort the opportunities.
I mean, the opportunities will came later.
Okay.
I would like to figure out first the risk.
Okay.
Because actually we changed the behavior in the last 12 months more regarding the risk than the opportunities. But I'm sure that we have also opportunities in the same time. But let's stay a little bit on the risk, and then we go to opportunities, if is it possible.
Okay, so I would be a little bit political, talking from the, let's say, Polish perspective, commenting a little bit what we have in Poland right now. So the risk could be kind of political behaviors of some countries, and not taking the economical approach and kind of, let's call it European approach, as I think that we should integrate at the moment more than before. And I'll talk in the name of the Europe, that Europe does not have any other chance than to integrate. And we see how aggressive, I would call it aggressive, let's call it competition we have at the moment. For example, in terms of vaccine situation. So talking about the risks, I would name it like a political behaviors, some unexpected political aspects, which may come.
Okay. Peter, regarding the risk, what you was speaking about, where do you see how to limitate it?
There are variable solutions how to reduce the risk. Every time it's a question about the technical solution and the cost. So if we talk about the logistic, we can discuss the using of consignment stock, using of additional stocks in supplier or buyer part. I mentioned using of double sourcing, which is possible. Of course, there are some limitations. For example, if you need the special tooling, in case of double sourcing, you have to pay 2 sets of tooling, which is usually expensive item. So it's the way how to solve or how to reduce the risk in terms of logistic.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of HR sources, it is communicated more frequently that the big companies prepare to perform their own testing. It means they prepare the plans how to test the stuff to be sure that the COVID will not come to the factories, because last year some car makers had to stop the production to eliminate the risk that company will be full of COVID infection. And some of them implemented 2 shift systems. It means they split the staff into 2 groups, and one group is in the office and second is at home to use the home office. Other solution, mainly for administrative staff, is using of home office, which reduce the risk of social contact and COVID transfer. And of course, there is the vaccination, which should help to reduce the COVID risk as well. Concerning transportation capacity, it means talking about the ships and containers. As I know, the containers producers are running 100%. It means they try to produce additional quantity of containers to eliminate the gap at the market. And concerning ships capacity, there is small improvement during last days. So we can expect that it will return to normal situation as before COVID. Concerning the macroeconomic frame, it means government investment, government funds transfer, and inflation risk. In this case, we need to believe that the national banks know how to keep the inflation under control.
Okay.
Yes, we can expect that there is possible some inflation risk and inflation pressures. On the second side, every time as the buyers, we can negotiate with the suppliers the potential increase, or to be sure that the inflation will not push the prices out of control. We could implement the inflation into contracts, into
That's what I know. What I see in the contracts, it's implemented in the contract.
The typical formula: if the inflation is up and down to 5%, the price is the same. If the inflation is over 5%, the supplier can open negotiation concerning price modification. So implementation of this formula can help us to reduce the risk of inflation increase to our prices.
Okay. Anna, what you start to talk about the chances.
Mhm.
What are the important chances in your point of view?
Before I will talk about the chances, I would like a little bit comment what Peter said because it was interesting to hear about the sea transport and kind of expectation or trends. I'm a little bit sitting in the transport industry because these are the suppliers as well. I mean the transport provider, and imagine that some international companies has closed their maritime branch. They have quit this. I'll not talk in the using the names, but what I found interesting that some big international transport providers do not see the opportunities in the sea transport anymore, while they invest to acquire some companies who are providing road transport. So I'm very interested how the future will be, and if really, because you mentioned, Pete, some troubles, some problems with the logistics, yeah. But I'm interested how the future will be, because my I would say typing it will be that we will be less and less limited with the sea transport, because there will be not that huge demand for that kind of transport. And this is also my kind of expectation for the future, that we will observe some transfers more to the closer to Europe. I mean, for example, from China, or not only from China, but closer to the mother facilities in Europe. I'm talking from the European perspective. Yeah, European means from the Europe perspective, because the US, this is the different, let's say.
Sure.
Yeah, talking about the opportunities, I would say that at the moment we have a kind of big brainstorming worldwide, trying to point out the risks and trying to point out the opportunities. Yes, we can see a lot of suffer for the situation, because we see a lot of bankruptcies, acquisitions, etc., etc. But those people or those companies who are flexible or who can detect the opportunities, these are the winners. These ones who are flexible, who are detect the future trends, these are the winners. So we can, I would say that we can revert every problem or every issue into the challenge, into the opportunity. Like, for example, you mentioned the home office. The home office and necessity to sitting home, that that gives us some benefits. These are so for example, this one. What we observe at the moment is that we have to review all the supply chain. So to me, the positive is that we have to approach the supplier and make kind of review whom we choose, whom we left, because the situation shows us that some suppliers they do not fit to the future. They are not capable to maintain so immediate change, or they are just too weak. Yeah. Opportunities. What I see like opportunity is kind of new communication with the suppliers, better towards full transparency of the suppliers. This one who will be able to share the financials, the forecasts, the even non-disclosure informations, this will be better perceived as a supplier than the previous one who tried to be very conservative, I would say, shortly saying. Yes. What else?
Okay, look, what I can see is a big movement on the market, for example, for the interim managers, because in the last weeks are coming more and more requests for interim managers in sourcing. Actually, not in the last weeks. It started in September, October. And we see the companies are very busy with to resizing and optimization with the supply chain. And I think this is really the right point to do that and to change. If you want to explain your people in the company to do something, that I think now is the best time, because you have a really necessity from the side of risks. So you can it's not just nice to have, but because a lot of things you will have to do to be sure you get your parts for the assembly, for example. And on the other hand, it's a lot of movement in the supply market. It means some suppliers are not able to produce anymore. Some are not, are maybe too far away. Other suppliers, the finance situation of the suppliers is so critical, so we have to have a second or third source, and so on. So I think it's a good time to make a big changes, not a small changes, to make a big jump and to make the procurement in the company strong and more important, and also because we are not in a very in very good economical shape at all. It's a good source of decrease the cost and increase some profit. I would like to hear from Peter. What are actually what do you recommend actually the companies in Europe, from the point of Europe, to do regarding Asia? Because the first what we heard is it's too far away. It's maybe it could be difficult to get some deliveries. The logistic is not easier, and should we actually bring everything back to Europe and produce and use productions in Middle and East Europe, or to bring it again to Germany like it was 10, 20 years ago? What is
Well,
the right way, and how to find actually the right way?
Okay, I think that the way back to return the situation 20 years ago is impossible, because the world changed dramatically, and I don't think that we will open steel factories and other again in some territories in Germany. Definitely not. Concerning the transfer of the production to China, India, and simply to Asia, which is right now the global production hub. In the past, it was sometimes more like fashion. Simply, we must go to the China because everybody goes to China. So we followed the stream, and sometimes without clear thinking and clear calculation whether it is the best solution. I mentioned the case of double sourcing. Let me to present one example. It was from the time of GE Transportation Systems. We produce big engines for locomotives, and we followed a simple rule. For critical engine components, we had policy of two sources. One source was located in US. It was a long time source where we were sure about the technical features, quality. The logistic was perfect. Only we negotiated the prices. So we keep this source as reliable source of component, which was every time available. In case of any emergency, we organize the extra shipment, and we were sure that the parts will come to the production, and we will not have to stop production and don't supply locomotive to our customer. And second source, second part of our demand was available for the global sourcing. And it was question to evaluate which region is best for it. Europe, India, China. It depended on the conditions which we received. So this time we talk about going to low-cost countries, but I started production is in Italy, which is definitely not low-cost country. But we received the best offer for the specific components, so we decided to buy them from the Italy. Yeah, we could say yes, we must go to the China, but okay, to buy poor quality or poor delivery performance parts. Why? There is no reason. Simply we decided, okay, at this moment we receive the best conditions from the Italy as our second and global source. So we go to the Italy. Yeah. So just now we should sit down and we should think again about the searching of the best source for our components, services, and other around the world. And if there is arguments to have this source in the country or in the Europe, okay, we can try to find the source here if the source is available here. If not, we need to think about the source which is available, including evaluation of logistic risks. If possible, double source is the perfect solution because it increases your purchasing power and reduce your risks. Let me to present another example. It was company ASSA ABLOY, producer of locks, door lock system. And we had practically two production lines, one with relatively old technology. For this, I bought the materials from variable sources. It means Czech Republic, Poland, former Yugoslavia, etc. And our main driver for this procurement was cost. Simply, we followed the cheapest source for the material. The second line was new, high performance, and for this I bought material from Wieland, Germany. And top management asked me, why do you buy from Germany? Because this material is really expensive. I said, yes, you are right, it is expensive, but it is high performance technology, and with this material I can use the power of this technology to work with high rate, high speed, produce big quantities, and at the end to decrease cost per unit.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the reason why I go to the company Wieland and buy their top product from them, because thanks to this I can utilize the characteristics of our new technology.
Very nice example.
I can buy the cheapest one, yes.
Yeah.
But buying the cheapest one, I will have to reduce the speed and I will increase risk of the defects of the technology. And defect, it means to invite a technician from the Switzerland, pay the A ticket, pay the hotel, pay the daily salary, and stop the production. It means lose the production, lose the turnover, lose the profit. So such thinking should be done again to evaluate what is really best source for us. If it is Asia, okay, go to the Asia. If we can split Europe and Asia, find a way how to balance these two sources. So it would be my recommendation. Of course, it need a lot of analysis, a lot of evaluation, a lot of work. But as Anna mentioned, at this moment, it is issue for us, and we can convert this issue into opportunity.
Peter, may I add something?
Yes.
To your discussions, because it's interesting what you are talking. I would say that this situation, I mean, 2020 shows how risky it is to be dependent on one region. And by many, you mentioned that it was fashionable to go to China. Yes, and all were thinking about cost reduction, etc. And the whole industry was adopted. I mean, supply chain was adopted. I mean, the digitalization tracking, etc. It was easy to get connected to China. But now we see how risky it is to be dependent on to one region.
Mm-hmm.
There is a fashionable trend at the moment named decoupling. Decoupling, like the kind of deviation, kind of delocation of the sources, not to be dependent on one region. And what is interesting, I'm looking what the Japan is doing. Japan, since some years, like 2 or 3 years, is very loudly talking about the movement from China into the Japan or into the another location. I mean, from China, because they would perceive it like a risk to be dependent on the Chinese, let's say, Chinese production hub, global Chinese production hub. What is interesting also is that the Chinese itself detected that it might come the trend of moving from China to another location, and the Chinese producer, they have moved their production from China somewhere else to not, I mean, Chinese want to be not in China. The third example, the third case I would like to point out is the Apple producer of the iPhones. They started to shift some production of components to Taiwan or Vietnam, because also they would like to not to be dependent so much on the Chinese market. It was really funny. Myself, I'm using iPhone as well, but it was really funny when that was a panic on the market that, hey guys, we are missing I mean, that was in March or April, that the production of Apple was risky or stop it or block it or slow down because of missing components from China. So it's really, really interesting how the future will drive, but however, definitely the cost will be not a key driver. Kind of safety of the supply chain, safety of the production, I mean, continuous production will be a key drive, yeah? Mm-hmm. Also, I'm at the same opinion that it is not possible to come back to the time like 30 years ago, because this model will not exist anymore, but definitely it's a time to find out the model for next coming decade or some years.
Okay, Peter, what do you recommend for Asia? What are the where is, for example, China strong today? Taiwan, Vietnam, India. How do you see the market from the point also from pandemic, from actually from the situation where we are just now? Are there some preferences? What you would say? Okay, we should really think about it to go from the suppliers from China to Vietnam, and for which commodities, or to Taiwan, South Korea, India. How do you see the strategy for Asia?
Okay, let me to return a little bit back in the history. The China story was started by President Nixon and his visit in China. And he did the deal with China leader Deng Xiaoping. This man was known as pragmatic leader. He said, I don't care whether the cat is white or black, but important is ability to catch the mouses.
Mhm.
And he agreed that they will start up business with following philosophy. China will manage people, labor force, and sources. It means raw materials, energies. And US will manage the technologies, technician, and management.
Mhm.
At this time, the China was devastated due social and political experiment of Mao Zedong, and they try to find a way how to grow up.
Mhm.
So this time, China started with very simply ordinary product, textile, for example, t-shirts, very cheap t-shirts from China for €1 per piece, etc. And step by step, they grew up. It means they implemented more and more sophisticated products as to come to the current situation where they can produce the sophisticated things like nuclear power stations, they can produce aircrafts, they can produce ships, electrical cars, and other.
Right.
By the way, at this moment, the world biggest ship producer is Chinese company. Concerning the batteries for electric vehicles.
Okay, Peter, but back to my question.
Yes.
What is when I think about sourcing in Asia?
Mm-hmm.
You have some main countries for some main commodities. What you say, you have to first look at it. What is your overview of Asia for today? I mean, the history, more or less we know, but what is your current experience?
Okay. Concerning China, it is, I would say, the country where you can find the same products like in Europe. It means you can expect more or less the same technical features and quality, but of course the price will be closer to European ones, if we talk about it. If you want to buy the cheap sources for relatively simple commodities like the casting, forgings, and other, you must go to the countryside in China, to the former farmer regions where there is open new factories and you can find the source for such commodities. If you think about the textile, furniture, and some other relatively simple commodities, at this moment, you must leave China and go to the other countries in Asia, India, Vietnam, Indonesia. For example, if you go to the IKEA, you can investigate that a lot of IKEA stuff is coming from Vietnam or Indonesia. Concerning it is different commodity, but it is mainly assembly work. If we talk about iPhones, the production was moved from the China to India. So if you go to the Asia, you need to evaluate country by country what is the strong and weak position of each country, and based on this, you need to manage your sourcing activities. So if, for example, you would need casting and forgings, I would recommend you India. If you are looking for electronics, I would recommend China or Taiwan. If it is answer your question.
Absolutely. Anna.
And excuse me, and let me to comment. this China story is a big inspiration for other countries. It means Vietnam, India, and other. So we can expect that they will follow the China way. So if at this moment we see the India and Vietnam as really low cost, we can expect that after 20, 30 years, they will be in the same situation like the China, and we can expect the same cost level like in the China today.
Okay.
Only there will be 20, 30 years time gap.
Okay. Anna, for Middle and Eastern Europe, do you see enough capacities by suppliers, and what about the quality of the products, quality of people?
Mhm. I'm the fan of CE region. I think that that the CE region, that's a perfect production facility, perfect production backup for the Western Europe. It's not only Poland, because we have Hungary, we have Litva, Latvia, and Estonia. There is some potential in Bulgaria as well. So like Peter said, talking about the Far East, that each region has that electronics here and rubbers there, etc. So the same specializations are around the Eastern Europe. This region is close. It's close, yeah. It's the same time zone. It's the same language. I mean, the English or German, that's the same language, the communication-wise, the same time in terms of communication. The culture of the business and culture of the production is similar. And it's the very good example is Western Poland, because the Western Poland is very, very much dependent or connected to the Germany. So the production methodologies, the production behaviors are very well known. I mean, the Western Poland is very much learning from the production processes. There are some specializations, like for example, Turkey, Bulgaria are very famous for the furniture. We are competing. I mean, the Poland is competing with Turkey and Bulgaria about the cost for the furniture industry. But answering your question, because it's very interesting, saying that we will not quit China day by day. And generally, it's not possible to quit China 100%. Some processes will stay in China or in this region. But the situation with the COVID and the weaknesses of the current supply chain model shows that the backup must be somewhere close. I had a customer that's an Australian company. They used to buy in New Zealand, in China, in Oceania, this kind of region. But much earlier, before the pandemic, they got a customer in Great Britain. And they told me, Anna, we have to activate kind of production closer to the Great Britain, because we cannot shift for certain reasons. That was for advertising industry, where the speed is very, very very important, yeah. So to me, the situation of COVID shows us that now we will definitely change the models, the system, the processes, and just accelerated some changes which were implemented or started some years ago. Years means like a 5 years perspective, not more, yeah. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I think we could now to finalize and stop in a few minutes. Peter, what is your actually last recommendation, if you would like to make a summary?
My recommendation is, don't say no to Asia. If you want to buy in Asia, think about all positive and negative items and elements, and make decision on the logistic, clear, I would say, clear, logical decision. Don't follow your emotion like leave the China immediately or go to the China immediately.
Yeah.
Try to use the logical approach to evaluate what is the best solution for your business.
Okay, great. Thank you. Anna, your last recommendation?
My recommendation is be open, try to catch up opportunities. Don't be conservative. Don't think like, like everything what was good, it's good forever. Think about the Eastern Europe. This is very interesting. Still, the labor is cheaper. Still, the people, I would say, happy to work, if I can say so. I mean, willing to work. And use that opportunity. There are a lot of educated people, and the business models and production models are known and easier to control, and it's not far away. So my recommendation is have a look on the on this kind of region. It is still interesting, and there is still a space to produce there.
Thank you very much. So thank you very much to everybody for participation. Thank you to Anna for her expertise, and Peter for his expertise. And I wish everybody a very nice evening, and I hope to see you again soon. Have a nice time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a nice day. Bye.